Dada's Diaries, we open the pages of life one story at a time, unfiltered, unscripted, and unafraid.
We were sleeping actually on the floor with the mattress. Alafu watungi afford hata kununua blanketi. Kwa tumekopa kwa duka mpaka ile
hawezi rudi hapo tena.
Hey,
kutoka Makadara mpaka Kileleshwa.
You can imagine.
You know the proper from rags to riches story.
Yes. Hey. We were supposed to do a sacrifice of goat. And he was supposed to give gold, real gold, to do the sacrifice. And someone is going to lose their life. How do you know you're going to die and you're okay with it? Through sacrifice. When they were doing the sacrifice downstairs, I was just thinking he's sick. He just got sick. When we got to the hospital, they did all the tests. He passed away.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with our music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Shukisha mzee.
Hapa hakuna stage.
Wala shukisha ama mimi kapiga nduru na pesa yako msilibi.
Mimi sitaki kisirani. Shuka.
Thank you.
Shuka.
Polen. Wacha nipigia mtu wangu wa insurance ya kuja washughulikie.
Mtasign hizi forms. In a few weeks time mtakuwa mmepata fidia yenu. Poleni sana.
Kwani kampuni ya Ipima ilifungwa?
Unataka kusema hatutapata pesa?
Wewe na hizo unaangalia namna hiyo.
Policyholders Compensation Fund PCF ilibuniwa ili kufidia wadai wa kampuni ya bima ambayo imewekwa katika usimamizi wa kisheria au leseni yake imebatilishwa. Iwapo umejaza claim forms na insurance ikakubali kulipa lakini ikafungwa, tembelea tovuti ya www.pcf.go.ke kisha ufuate taratibu za kujaza claim na utasaidika kupata fidia. Policyholders Compensation Fund, dhamana ya bima yako.
Mimi ni ng'ombe. Mimi ni ng'ombe.
Wewe ukijiangalia wewe naona kama wewe ni nini?
So what is your problem?
My problem is wewe anaiba kwa mali yenu, wewe anaenda kuuza na bado wewe anakataa.
Uli kwako nikiiba.
Hapana, lakini ibaka bali.
Can you walk out please?
Wewe unanikula.
Mimi ndio nilipeleka hizo ng'ombe huko.
Sasa wewe si ujibu maswali.
Mimi ndio nilipeleka hizo ng'ombe huko.
Kwani zilipelekwa na nani?
Mimi sijui. Mbona huko uliza makofi?
Katika simu yake ilionyesha
na mheshimiwa huyo hata sijui tata yangu alikuwa anatafuta nini kwa hiyo kipala. Sijui, I don't know. Wewe na usiniletee hata wewe ni kipala, hata wewe pato, hata uwezi chukua hata tata yangu, hata wewe usiniletee.
I want to discuss on something that has been a topic of discussion. We are looking at the concept of betting. How to deal with the gambling. I don't want to call it a gambling spirit, but how to deal with that nature and attitude and habit of gambling.
So gambling kitu nilianza kitambo, but hapo naweza sema siku bado najijua.
Au unajua ni gambling?
Sikuwa najua ni gambling. Shinda kidogo lakini yenye na lose mzee ikikuja kunipiga na nipiga serious.
The Bible says he has come to, that you may have life and have it in abundance, but also the devil comes to kill, steal and to destroy. What are the effects of your gambling? If you look at it in the big picture.
Yes.
You've lost 25,000 1 million people.
Have lost 25,000.
To who? And who gained?
To the system.
Nilikuja nikawachana na betting, but unaona hiyo dent ya sis kutoenda chuo, ile lose relationship na wale wasi. So I think ni scar bado iko.
I can use anything, whatever, to get this man down.
They ruled me as mentally unfit. You want full custody? Men fall upwards all the damn time.
Not if we get hold of the system.
Can we please just stick to our job descriptions?
Ganda.
That is why Dad left you rotting with the dead business in Uganda.
But I thought Nick won last time.
You can rub it in my face all you want, so long as you help me get my daughter back.
Nope. These useless investors are backing out.
Tech Inc. No one backs out without a better deal.
Pull down your res from Tech Inc. now.
All I can see is an extortionate psycho who is trying to gain control over someone's legacy.
Exactly 2 minutes to the top of the hour. You're right in time for what is shaping the news tonight in general news, business, and sports, including our discussion.
And of course, tomorrow being a holiday.
Yes.
It's Labor Day celebrations tomorrow. And the theme being industrialization, trade, and decent work for social justice. Tonight we host the Principal Secretary, Labor and Skills Development. That is Shadrach Mwadime, who will be joining us for that conversation. Let's just get to understand what the government's plan is and whether the worker is going to get a salary increment.
And it's actually a timely discussion looking at some of the efforts the government is deploying to just streamline the entire labor system.
Absolutely.
Quite timely.
That's a conversation we'll be having a little bit later, but for now, here are tonight's highlights. LSK mounts pressure on National Security Council to ensure issuance of a full disclosure of 2024 Gen Z protests. After 1 year in the cold, Labour Court orders reinstatement of Professor Paul Wainaina to the helm of Kenyatta University. Partnerships for development. President Ruto says government will no longer rely on loans to finance development. And High Court nullifies tender for renovation of Kenyatta Municipal Stadium in Trans Nzoia, directs county government to refund 25 million shillings.
Thank you so much for choosing KBC Channel 1 to inform you tonight. This is Prime Edition. I'm Doreen Arange.
Lucy Maura is a sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Probably before we even begin, news from State House is that President William Ruto has this evening appointed Professor Makau Mutua as his constitutional affairs advisor. That is in the executive office of a president. And that appointment has just come like about 30 minutes or so ago. And that's the latest from State House.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to that, let's now continue to inform you, and we start with President William Ruto says that his government will no longer borrow loans to finance development.
The head of state says the government has opted for alternative financing mechanisms such as the public-private partnership PPP model that will not complicate Kenya's choking debt burden. At the Cooperatives University of Kenya in Nairobi, President William Ruto presided over the installation of newly appointed Chancellor Dr. Bernard William Chitunga.
All right, Your Excellency, what is happening now? Dr. Chitunga is being robed.
Chitunga, a highly accomplished professional with extensive experience and expertise in partnerships, development finance and multilateralism, with the president hailing him as bold and courageous leader.
Through the Chancellor's Legacy Program, we propose establishment of a multi-donor cooperative innovation and entrepreneurship finance facility.
This country needs bold, courageous leaders like you to move it to the next level. People who believe in this country.
Following his state visit to China last week, the president sought to respond to his critics who have accused him of carrying a begging bowl to Beijing.
The road we have, you saw listed from Rironi all the way to Malaba through Nakuru, is not going to be built. Is not going to be built using loans to the government of Kenya. Unasikia? It is going to be built using a toll infrastructure, public-private partnership, investment. That is what is going to build that road.
Ruto said the government has adopted alternative development financing that does not require the country to muddle the ballooning debt.
Our first batch of investment is to build hostel spaces for 130,000 students in universities, colleges, and Tibet. That money is not money that is borrowed, right? It's not loans. We're not going to build hostels for you here using loans. We're going to use money we have raised, our own local resources. That is how to build the country.
The president and ODM leader Raila Odinga, who was also at the event, called on Kenyans to adopt a saving culture as a means of cushioning selves in old age.
In Uganda, everybody saves 10% of their salary. In Tanzania, everybody saves 8% of their salary. In Kenya, we were saving 200 shillings. And it was supposed to be okay. And I was supposed to do nothing about it. Really?
Cooperative actually promotes saving. And saving is very important in terms of wealth creation. When you save, you can be able to invest. I said earlier on, there's what we call the vicious cycle of poverty.
The government, in the meantime, will implement far-reaching reforms in training, research and innovation to sustainably boost the contribution of cooperatives to Kenya's economic progress. In the meantime, Professor Paul Wainaina has been reinstated to his position as the Vice Chancellor of Kenyatta University following a High Court ruling that declared his removal from office unlawful.
In a judgment delivered on Wednesday, the Employment and Labour Relations Court overturned the actions of the Public Service Commission at the Kenyatta University's council, ordering Professor Wainaina's immediate reinstatement.
The legal battle, which began on the 14th of April 2024, saw Professor Wainaina sent on compulsory leave by the University Council on accusations of accumulated leave days.
The court has additionally nullified the appointment of Professor Washeke Wanjohi as the institution's acting Vice Chancellor, clarifying that Professor Wainaina's term as Vice Chancellor would continue until its scheduled expiry on 26 January 2026.
The people who have done what they have done, they are really now ashamed, because I went out there not because I had done anything wrong, but now I'm back We are going to continue where we started.
We thank our courts for standing with justice and restricting our VC for almost the third time right now. But we will wish that our VC be allowed to finish his term in office peacefully and honorably. Congress, viva!
We are all ready to work together to continue to make this university what it should be. Welcome very much, Professor Wainaina.
And our Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has reiterated the government's commitment to supporting security officers in tackling security challenges in Eastern and Rift Valley regions that are prone to banditry and cattle rustling.
Speaking during a meeting with the security committees from Isiolo, Meru, Laikipia, Samburu and Marsabit counties, the CS lauded the police officers for the commendable job they're doing to curb cattle rustling and other crimes.
Murkomen, accompanied by the DIG KPS Eliud Langat, DIG KPS Eliud Langat, Eastern Regional Commissioner Paul Rotich and other security officials, noted that the meeting was to assess the progress of ongoing security operations targeting banditry, cattle rustling and drug trafficking.
Job you are in because of salary. This is a sacrifice. This is a national duty. No amount of money can pay for our police officer to do the job they are doing. So the small support you get, and as we continue improving in the reforms that we are doing, these are things that I want us to look at critically in terms of resolving this issue. Kama tutamaliza, lazima sisi wote wenye tuko hapa tutembee kwa direction moja. Kama wote tukiwa na nia moja ya kuhakikisha kwamba usalama kwa sehemu hii.
Don't fear to work. As long as you're working within the law and you all know that kind of a law, you can be rest assured that we will stand with you.
All right, 8 minutes past the top of the hour, due for our first break. When we return,
because we will continue with our conversation regarding what has been happening across the country. But most importantly, we'll also have that conversation on labor matters, because tomorrow is Labor Day, and I'm sure you've gotten that very much deserved break, because tomorrow is
a holiday.
Holiday.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kenya.
Wake up with Good Morning Kenya, the morning show that's got it all.
We dive deep into issues shaping our country.
Youth are a voice of a nation.
What is the next step for the young people?
Unpacking political landscape from Monday to Wednesday.
We discuss family matters.
It is very important to guard your relationship.
And for your health.
Someone doesn't wake up and they become an addict. It's in stages.
We've got you covered each and every Tuesday at 9 a.m.
Every Wednesday, it's all about The Viewpoint.
A day in politics is like 1,000 years.
Unpacking the biggest stories of the week, getting you insights and getting you ready for your day.
And the package is not yet done. I get to fix your Thursday with some entertainment. Entertainment Thursday, it is.
Good Morning Kenya.
We shape your day.
Good Morning Kenya, every weekday morning on KBC Channel 1.
We're about to get into a conversation tonight, hosting the Principal Secretary at Labour. But before we do that, the government is stepping up efforts to streamline Kenya's labour export system amid rising concerns over the exploitation of citizens seeking work abroad. The Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi says investigations are underway to expose rogue agents preying on vulnerable job seekers. This comes just days after young Kenyans testified before a Senate committee about their experiences.
The Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs has reaffirmed its commitment to sanitize the labour migration sector in the wake of growing public outcry over the mistreatment of Kenyan workers abroad.
We are determined to bring order in this particular area, so we are following very, very closely so that we can have a hygienic process of assisting Kenyans who want to go and work in different countries.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, addressing the National Assembly plenary on Wednesday, disclosed that ongoing investigations aim to unmask individuals and agencies behind unscrupulous labor deals that continue to put the lives of Kenyans at risk.
In these machu jobs by the Ministry of Labor, Kasi Maju, yes. And then there were many Kenyans who were saying they were scammed by the Ministry of Labor under the CS Mutua. So I just want to ask the Cabinet Secretary whether they are working, what is their working relationship with the Ministry of Labor.
Mudavadi further revealed that his office is working closely with the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection to harmonize operations and close existing loopholes in the deployment process,
so that we do not have a situation where the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing.
In a concerning update, the ministry also reported that there are at least 388 children born to Kenyan mothers in Saudi Arabia.
The Prime Cabinet Secretary should know that this is a very emotive issue where children who are born to Kenyan mothers living in Saudi Arabia cannot access medical care and cannot access education because they are considered not to be eligibly in the country.
In instances where the parents have no passports, they apply for replacement through the embassy. In the alternative, the embassy issues them with emergency travel documents to enable them return to Kenya.
Honorable Speaker, I'm trying to address the real situation on the ground in Saudi Arabia. Those mothers have gotten themselves a name called Kemboi. Kemboi means runaways. These are people who have zero documents. And Honorable Speaker, someone who is already running away from I don't know what cannot honestly walk into one of those offices.
Mudavadi emphasized the need for a coordinated approach to labor migration and diaspora affairs to ensure no Kenyan is left vulnerable under a disjointed system. Kamchemenza for Prime Edition.
Thank you, Kamchemenza, for that report. Shadrach Mwadime, the Honorable Shadrach Mwadime, is the Principal Secretary, the State Department for Labour and Skills Development, and joins us in studio for our conversation tonight. Thank you very much, PS, for your time.
Thank you for having me here.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
I want to give you a minute to quickly respond to that story you've seen on air regarding what is ongoing.
Yeah, it's extremely sad, really, what is happening. There's no question about it. I mean, Kenyans should not be scammed at all in any way. The money that they earn out of their sweat, and they want to make their lives better by going abroad for better jobs, that should be safeguarded. The money should not be misappropriated by agencies or even as indicated by any government official. Nobody is above the law. I want to say that very explicitly, and therefore they should report such cases to the police so that whoever is found culpable at whatever senior level in government, action is taken as required.
Absolutely. Yeah. So tomorrow is Labour Day. Probably before we take stock of, or rather we start with taking stock of the achievements you've been able to make this last 1 year in terms of improving labour conditions for Kenyans generally. What have been the achievements of your State Department?
We have done a lot. We have established sector skills committees that look at every sector and come up with strategies on how we can ensure that those sectors develop. So they are more or less sector growth committees. And we are doing this in order to ensure that we increase employment opportunities for Kenyans, and not only that, so that we can secure decent working conditions for Kenyans. So there's a lot that Ministry of Labour is doing. As you know, we have quite a number of directorates. We have the Occupational Safety and Health Directorate that looks at matters safety for Kenyans, the environment within which they work, within which they operate. We are happy that the Public Service Commission was able to allow us to employ about 95 officers recently, so that we can deploy them up to village levels, if not at county headquarters levels, you know. And then we have the Labour Commissioner's Office. We have labor inspectors, some who are employed recently, and the Public Service Commission has also promised us to employ even more, so that these labor inspectors can go to where we have industries, where we have companies, Kenyans working, to ensure that the minimum wage, first of all, is observed, and not only that, their benefits, you know, are safeguarded as required in accordance with the law. So there's a lot that we are doing. We're also trying to strengthen trade unions, to strengthen their capacities, so that they can fight strongly on behalf of their union members.
Let's talk about the youth very quickly. In light of what is going on, despite being a blot on the efforts being made by the Ministry of Labour and indeed the government, what are you going to do to inspire confidence among the youth, particularly to take up the opportunities that you are hunting on behalf of government?
Both within the economy and also outside the economy. Within the economy, what we are trying to do, again through the sector skills committees, is we want to do an analysis and see where the demand is in terms of the skills that are required. Employers over time have been complaining that the kind of graduates we produce are not able to meet their expectations. So we want to do an analysis and see where the gaps are. Now, once we get to know where the gaps are, we will inform curriculum immediately, so that young people, as they go through school, they are assured that immediately they graduate, they will be employed. So we want to make them as employable as possible, but not only within the economy, but also outside the economy, where opportunities are opening up.
You reference outside the economy. Very quickly, so that we get to understand why outside the economy. Is it that there is a demand for Kenyan labor? And why does it stick?
The strategy is twofold. Number one, John, you have to appreciate that the unemployment rate in Kenya is extremely high. Out of 1 million graduates that we produce every year, you know, from primary level to tertiary, you know, colleges and universities, only 200,000 can be absorbed by our economy, both the public and the private sector. Now, you can't tell a young person who has just graduated to sit at home until the economy expands, so that then he can be absorbed. You know, you have to do the very best that you can to assist this young person, because these are human beings, and human beings are social beings. They want to develop, they want to get married, you know, they want to see success in their lives. So wherever opportunities will open up, we will push for them to capitalize on those opportunities. And mind you, even the job opportunities opening up in the international labor market, what we are pushing for is labor mobility, not labor migration. We don't want them to migrate and go and stay in those countries permanently. We want them to go make savings and remit back that which they've been able to earn. And remember, the second strategy is they will be able to meet technology as it obtains in the world currently and transfer it back home. So we will benefit in terms of know-how being transferred home, both in terms of savings and in terms of know-how. Last year, because Kenyans are very patriotic, they were able to remit back home $4.95 billion US. That's a lot of money. You can imagine we've been dependent upon foreigners to come and invest in our country. How beautiful will it be to have our own Kenyans coming back home to invest, you know, and to take care of their younger brothers and sisters whom they will employ in their companies.
Quite interesting. You've referenced working closely with unions, and that is the movement. In terms of fair remuneration for employees and better working conditions for employees, What is the level of engagement you're having with these unions to ensure that this is achievable?
Okay, so we want to do away with the protests that you see continuously. You know, protests that take a long period of time. Yeah. We waste a lot of, you know, money in terms of the hours, you know, that have been misused, that have not been, you know, they have not been engaged profitably in terms of production of goods or services. So what we are doing is we engage in trade unions so that the moment a CBA comes to an end, we can start engaging on a new CBA. Even if that particular CBA will not have an increment in terms of possibly the wages, but in terms of other benefits, they can be looked into. Yeah. So it's not necessarily that every time you sit with the union to discuss a new CBA, you know, increase of wages is top in the agenda. There are other issues also that obtain that can make working conditions conducive to our Kenyan workers. And therefore, the best strategy for us to employ, and we're already engaged in trade unions, is right from the beginning, you know, before a CBA is signed and it takes effect. We've had discussions, we have agreed on the issues that are wanting so that going forward, you know, Kenyan workers can work in a conducive environment.
All right.
Yeah, so that's what we are doing with trade unions, and we work with them very, very closely. Unlike before, where government was shying away, you know, from sitting with trade unions, we've been forthright that they should come, sit with us, and we agree on the way forward.
Largely on the matter of unfair dismissal and exploitation, largely is left to unions. Is there a form of government intervention whatsoever to probably cushion workers from unfair dismissal or what you would say exploitation at work?
Yes, by all means. Number one, of course, as I said, we are building the capacity of the Labor Inspectorate Directorate so that we can engage Kenyan workers more or less on a daily basis. We don't have to wait until they're being dismissed. That's when we come in to engage the employer and find out why this Kenyan worker has been dismissed. So I want to be categorical on this. Kenyan employers must realize that every time a labor inspector comes knocking, they have to open their door and allow them in, so that they interact with their workers and find out whether their working environment is okay or not. We have to keep on engaging each other, you know, as often as possible. So we don't wait until somebody has been offloaded. That's when the government comes in to assist, you know, this person who has been victimized. That is the strategy that we're using, and we're happy with the Public Service Commission because early this year, they allowed us to employ about 60 occupational safety and health officers. We've also, they've allowed us also to employ more officers in the Labor Inspectorate Department. So we are building our capacity so that we can be able to reach Kenyans even up to the grassroots level.
All right. I want us to take a small breather. When we come back, we'll speak about tomorrow and probably what Kenyans should expect from the government. Don't go too far. We're coming back in a minute.
Madam! Pick up your phone, please. No one tells me what to do.
Nini kinaendelea huku?
Why will he respond to your WhatsApp messages and not our calls?
Bigi ni msemo refu sana, but bibi yake ni fala.
Why are you giving me an attitude?
What attitude? I don't have an attitude.
Then why are you behaving like that?
I don't like the way you talk to me like you talk to other girls out there. I'm your wife. Nothing is as it was before now, is it? What are we toasting to? I know nothing.
I can use anything, whatever, to get this man down.
They ruled me as mentally unfit. You want full custody? Men fall upwards all the damn time.
Not if we get hold of the system.
Can we please just stick to our job descriptions?
Ganda.
That is why Dad left you rotting with the dead business in Uganda.
But I thought Nick won last time.
You can rub it in my face all you want, so long as you help me get my daughter back.
Nope. These useless investors are backing out.
Tech Inc. No one backs out without a better deal.
Pull down your res from Tech Inc. now.
All I can see is an extortionate psycho who is trying to gain control over someone's legacy.
I want to discuss on something that has been a topic of discussion. We are looking at the concept of betting, how to deal with the gambling. I don't want to call it a gambling spirit, but how to deal with that nature and attitude and habit of gambling.
So gambling ni kitu nilianza kitambo, but hapo naweza sema siku bado najijua.
Au unajua ni gambling?
Sikuwa najua ni gambling. Nashinda kidogo lakini yenye na lose mzee, ikikuja kunipiga na nipiga serious.
The Bible says he has come that you may have life and have it in abundance, but also the devil comes to kill, steal and to destroy. What are the effects of your gambling? If you look at it in the big picture.
Yes.
You've lost 25,000. A million people.
Have lost 25,000.
To who? And who gained?
To the system.
Nilikuja nikawachana na betting, but unaona hiyo dent ya sis kutoenda chuo, ile lose relationship na wale wasi. So I think ni ska bado iko.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. I'm still here with the Principal Secretary, State Department for Labour and Skills Development. But some developing news coming in from Nairobi is that the Member of Parliament for Kasipul Kabondo in Homa Bay County, that is Charles Ongondowere, has been gunned down, and that means then that he is dead. That's very sad news coming in. The Member of Parliament for Kasipul Kabondo is dead, gunned down this evening. We don't have details just yet. Of course, as they continue to come, we will be updating you. P.S., let's continue with our conversation. That's some sad news really coming in.
Yes, my sincere condolences to the family of the deceased. Yeah, that's very, very sad.
Very sad. I was interested to see the numbers the President was talking about today in terms of how much Kenyans had saved for 60 years through NSSF, being 380 billion, but says over the 2 years that there have been reforms in the NSSF Act, you've seen the saving of over 250 billion. Tell us about cushioning the labor market that you defend from the vagaries of retirement and all this through NSSF.
In fact, our object, John, is to increase the amount to possibly 1 trillion shillings over time. Yeah, in the next 2 or so years, in accordance with the strategic plan that we have, we want to increase the amount to be as big as it can be. It's currently more or less at around 600 billion. You can imagine we have done a lot to ensure that we inculcate in Kenyans a saving culture, because that's the whole idea. And the President did well even to give a comparison of what obtains within the East African region. You see, John, there is no way the economy is going to expand unless we inculcate that saving culture. Economists talk of savings equals investment. Out of what you save, you then invest. And that is the only way the economy is going to expand. And therefore, we want to guarantee Kenyans also, when they reach an age where they are no longer as productive, they are no longer as young and no longer as energetic, we can then be able to take care of their needs through the pension scheme that we've come up with. So the whole idea is to ensure that the standard of living of Kenyans is maintained even in their sunset age.
Of course, with these adjustments to the NSSF rates, even NHIF, through, of course, the formerly NHIF, now we're dealing with SHA, and even the housing levy has applied some pressure really on the payslip.
Yes.
The question is, tomorrow, being one of the guests that will be appearing there, does the Kenyan worker expect some relief tomorrow?
As government, we are doing our best. I want to say that categorically, but you have to also ensure that it is done in a very structured and organized way, not in an arbitrary way so that it hurts the economy. So there is a delicate balance here. It's a dicey situation. But nevertheless, what we have done as Ministry of Labour is we've established the wages councils. we have the General Wages Council, we have the Agricultural Wages Council, we have the Seafarers Wages Council that we established recently, and every sector is going to have a Wages Council. And the Wages Councils are comprised of both employers and representatives of employees and experts in the different sectors that we have in our economy, so that these people can sit and do an analysis, you know, and see whether the economy as it obtains currently will be able to carry, you know, the wage burden as we keep on increasing it. So I want to assure Kenyans that what we are doing is a very structured and organized way of doing things, unlike the way it was before. So they should expect a fair, you know, way of improving their standard of living through wage increment. Yeah, so let me just say it's the president will make an announcement concerning the same tomorrow. I don't want to preempt what he will say, but we've done our analysis and we have advised him accordingly.
All right. I want to take you back a little bit because you're talking about labor inspectors, of course, ensuring compliance. One of the complaints really that has come from unions and particularly from the Court Secretary General is non-compliance of labor laws by some of the employers we have within the boundaries of the Republic of Kenya. Of course, there's the complaints that will come from the employees regarding some of the conditions and this to labor inspectors. But how do you ensure overall the compliance with labor laws by the employer?
I must confess that it has been a bit of a challenge ever since the enactment of the Constitution, the 2010 Constitution. The promulgation. And I'm saying so because previously, prior to that, it was the labor inspectors who would take employers to court. But as it is now in accordance with the Constitution, it's actually the Directorate of Public Prosecution who is supposed to do it. So the good thing is we've had discussions with the Director of Public Prosecution. He seems to understand his work very well, by the way. I must commend him for what he's doing so far. So we're trying to build the capacity of the prosecutors so that then they can be of assistance to us in handling these labor cases. And we've agreed with the Director of Public Prosecution that capacity building will be undertaken going forward. So I want to assure Kenyans that they will see more of these employers who are trampling upon their rights, who are not paying them what they are supposed to earn. They will be arraigned in court. They will be arraigned in court.
And I must make this correction very quickly because I mentioned that the MP that is deceased now is the MP for Kasipul Kabondo. Actually, the MP for Kasipul Kabondo is Ivo Bara. It should be Kasipul, not Kasipul Kabondo. But all of them, of course, are constituencies within Homa Bay County. But Ungondo Were is the MP for Kasipul. One of the other complaints that have emanated largely during Labor Day celebrations again is the possibility that we have employers within the Republic of Kenya, some multinationals, but are not paying taxes within the Republic of Kenya. That is also a complaint we see from the union, some of them making those complaints. Working with your colleagues in government, of course, even with the PS Treasury and the Minister in charge, how do you ensure that also within this sector we have them paying taxes in the Republic of Kenya?
With the current situation, the way it obtains, we cannot allow that to continue. You know, with the fiscal space as it is currently, because it's very limited, really we don't have the luxury to allow some people not to pay taxes. So we work very closely with Treasury, and whenever we get this information, we share it with them, so that then Kenya Revenue Authority officials can visit these companies, you know, inspect their books and ensure they pay. So every time we get this information, we take action. Yeah, because it's critical that every Kenyan and every company pays taxes as is required in accordance with the law.
In terms of labor rights and protection, how does Kenya fare in comparison with probably our neighbors or within the region?
I think we are doing pretty well. That's my perception. We are not yet at the level of developed economies, but Kenya, in comparison to other countries within East Africa and also within Africa, I think we're doing very, very well. And as I said earlier on, we're trying to build the capacity of the Labor Inspectorate. We're trying to build the capacity of the Occupational Safety and Health. With these two directorates, you know, being at the forefront to safeguard the interest of Kenyans, I believe with time we should be somewhere near where the Western European countries are.
Absolutely. I want to give you this camera so that you give them a message to the Kenyan worker watching you tonight.
I want to assure the Kenyan worker that we are doing our best as Ministry of Labour, the various directorates that we have in place, even the registrar of trade unions, trying to build the capacity of our trade unions so that they can fight for your rights. Things are looking good going forward, and therefore I want to ask you to have confidence in us that what we are doing is really for your own good.
Thank you very much, PS, for joining us tonight, and happy Labor Day celebrations tomorrow.
Thank you.
To see you
Thank
again
you, John.
at the venue of the celebrations. The Principal Secretary, State Department for Labour and Skills Development, Shadrach Mwadime, joining us tonight to have a conversation really on the status of labour rights, and of course what you need to know ahead of the Labor Day celebrations, a very much well-deserved holiday, of course, for the Kenyan worker. We're taking a breather. We're coming back shortly.
Not all toothpastes are made equal. The new Colgate Total is engineered to be 3 times more effective at fighting a key root cause of many preventable issues. With its new active prevention system, 100% of people had a healthier mouth. New Colgate Total Active Prevention helps stop problems before they start.
Shindwe. Drama inatoka wapi? Utajijulia mwenyewe.
Ako wapi mwenda wazimu?
Musa. Put it the way it is.
Lazima nimbalize leo.
Kwa nini mnaulizana na dad?
I want to be here with my dad alone.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. Just a quick recap of the breaking news developing tonight is that the MP for Kasipul has been shot dead. That is Charles Ongondo Were, who was gunned down this evening. Ali had said Kasipul Kabondo, but indeed it is Kasipul. Kasipul Kabondo is represented by the Honorable Eve Obara. So apologies, of course, for that misstep. Okay?
Right. Just as we continue getting more details, we'll continue to prime you as we get them. All right, let's continue now. The Law Society of Kenya wants the National Security Council to issue a directive to all investigative agencies to establish and put in a public report on the full extent of the Gen Z protests and the land disputes in Narok that led to the killing of 5 protesters.
Speaking in Nairobi, LSK President Faith Odhiambo said they will identify the perpetrators and victims and take available legal action against them.
Abdiaziz Hashim tells us more.
The Law Society of Kenya is the latest organization to call for accountability and transparency from key security institutions in the country following the latest expose by one of the international media outlets.
Extrajudicial killings have emerged amongst the greatest threats to the right to life.
Led by their president, Faith Odhiambo, LSK called out the National Police Service for laxity on the matter.
We call upon investigation of all those officers that were involved.
The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, were not spared either.
In such times, laxity, complacency and lack of urgency are tantamount to complicity. IPOA has overstretched the grace and patience of the Kenyan public.
Odhiambo now demands that the highest security organ in the country, the National Security Council, to investigate the alleged extrajudicial killings that have seen thousands of families across the country lose their loved ones under unclear circumstances.
Where those whose sworn duty is to preserve the right to life have proven to be the greatest threat to its enjoyment.
The advocates further took a swipe at members of parliament for dismissing the expose as one-sided.
Are a cause of alarm for all Kenyans. For illustration, we are perturbed by the insensitive and thoughtless remarks that have been made by members of political class in addressing these crucial matters of national security and the state of constitutionalism.
The society has further condemned the land dispute incident in Narok County that led to the death of 5 people and others injured following a confrontation between police officers and residents from Angata Barikoi.
As if totally oblivious of the damning report of the atrocities perpetrated during last year's Gen Z demonstrations, the National Police Service compounded their contempt for the right to life and the rule of law by orchestrating vicious attacks against the residents of Angata, Barikoi, Kilgoris.
Meanwhile, the High Court has ordered that police officers deployed during demonstrations must always be in uniform and should not conceal their faces. Abdiaziz Hashim for Prime Edition.
More women will be recruited into the Kenya Prison Service in renewed efforts to address the constitutional one-third gender rule.
Correctional Services Principal Secretary Dr. Salome Biako highlighted the department's critical need for greater female representation with correctional facilities.
She spoke during an inspection tour of the ongoing recruitment exercise in Juja, where she urged more girls to turn up and kickstart their careers in the State Department.
In an ongoing effort to increase the female representation within correctional facilities, the State Department of Correctional Services has announced plans to recruit more girls. Principal Secretary Dr. Salome Biako, while on an inspection of the ongoing recruitment exercise in Juja, expressed concerns over the low turnout of applicants, especially women.
To the most part, yes, we are going to bridge the gap, not completely, but we will have made a significant stride. I wish to encourage more young women to come out and get recruited, because it is essential that we have equity and fairness.
The PS further urges young women to show up, adding that the correctional services offer a stable career path that may lead to a promising future for those who choose to pursue it, with emphasis on merit and diversity.
The persons that we have recruited, I am very happy that they came out in good numbers and that they are very well qualified. We have been able to pick out the best possible.
The Prisons Department is planning to recruit over 3,000 persons willing to join the service, with the minimum requirement being Kenyan, have a D+ mean grade, and between 18 and 28 years. Isufa reporting for Prime Edition.
And our section of religious leaders is pushing for resource mobilization to strengthen the healthcare services offered across the country.
Speaking during the opening of the Faith in Action Medical Conference in Karen, Nairobi, led by the Nairobi Catholic Archbishop, the Most Reverend Philip Anyolo, the leaders raised concern, particularly on the rising cases of maternal deaths as well as deaths owing to the cervical cancer menace, and called for action to combat this.
Timothy Kipnusu, who was there, and reports that the leaders have vowed to push for the formulation of policies to expand the HPV vaccination, maternal health services, and early cervical cancer screening, especially in a move that they say will help reduce the mortalities.
A section of religious leaders as well as health practitioners from across Africa convened in Nairobi on Wednesday in an ambitious initiative aimed at accelerating the fight against maternal mortality and cervical cancer, two of the continent's most urgent and preventable health challenges.
What we have as resources, the voice, the reach, the hospitals, we put them out there for humanity.
Led by Archbishop of the Catholic Archdiocese of Nairobi, Most Reverend Philip Anyolo, the leaders call on other religious leaders to join hands in ensuring Kenyans receive proper health services to combat what they termed as unnecessary deaths.
We were to fight 3 major things. Number 1, ignorance. Number 2, poverty. Number 3, disease. Today we are talking about disease.
No man, no woman should die when there is no need for them to die. And we want to ensure that we put that into practice.
Speakers at the forum call on the government to put strategies in place to expand the HPV vaccination, maternal health services, and early cervical cancer screening, especially in communities where cultural and religious dynamics strongly influence health-seeking behavior.
We have also policy documents that have been done, including the cervical cancer elimination strategy by the WHO, which is focused on getting 90% of girls all vaccinated, 70% of all women screened, and 90% of all women found to have anything suspicious or advanced disease treated.
We are going to dioceses where we are going to not only engage medical practitioners, but also pastoral agents like pastors and other faith leaders.
Kenya reports 342 maternal deaths per 100,000 live births, while cervical cancer remains the leading cause of cancer-related deaths among Kenyan women, claiming over 3,500 lives annually.
So today we are ambassadors of promoting these days so that as many women as possible can benefit from the camp that has been set.
So let's get our women informed. Let's get men to support the cause of action. Let's get faith leaders to utilize their opportunities in the pulpit, in their places of worship, to talk about these services.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Not all toothpastes are made equal. The new Colgate Total is engineered to be 3 times more effective at fighting a key root cause of many preventable issues. With its new active prevention system, 100% of people had a healthier mouth. New Colgate Total Active Prevention helps stop problems before they start.
Ukiwa mjesi ujue ni kila saa usikie bwana yako ameenda mbali. Kwa hivyo unakaa roho gumu.
Kaona msichana hapo hata yeye. So sikumuongeleza. Bado nimwangalia na macho nikamwadmire.
Sasa mimi nilimuona alikuwa mtu wa kujiriga sana. Hata sikuwa na haja na yeye. Mimi namuona ni naepa.
So ile kulinga nikajua yes, hapo ndio.
Wakati ya 82 hii vita ilikuwa Nairobi. Hiyo wakati nilikaa wiki mzima bila kukula na nilikuwa na mimba ya mama ya huyu. Nilikaa wiki mzima bila kukula. Wakati tu tuliingia tu town, hata utukua tumaliza miezi kadhaa, akatumwa Sierra Leone. Tangu tuone, mimi sijaiona mwingine.
Kwa muda tumekaa salama, na Mungu atatubariki tutakaa miaka mingi. Kwa hivyo hiyo upendo iendelee.
Welcome back. Let's continue to inform you. And the High Court has declared a tender for the renovation of the Kenyatta Municipal Stadium and construction of spectator sheds in Trans Nzoia County in the financial year 2013-2014, null and void.
Delivering the judgment, Justice Professor Nixon Sifuna noted that the whole process was full of fraud and procurement irregularities.
Ruth Wamboi reports that the judge has further ordered that the over 25 million shillings be refunded to the government by former county officials and the contractor involved.
It is a win for Kenya's anti-graft agency, ACC, following Justice Sifuna's decision that marks a significant milestone in its ongoing efforts to recover misappropriated public funds.
You see, if you go to do works on an illegal tender, we will consider that what you are doing is not rendering a service. You are executing an illegality. That the defendant's sin was not only overshooting the budget, but also the irregularities, illegalities, and fraud in the said tenders.
While giving the judgment, Justice Sifuna also ordered the Attorney General to institute sanctions on Joseph Muindi Tevulo, the former head of supply chain management at the county who allegedly signed the contract.
Appropriate sanctions against the first defendant, Joseph Muindi Tevulo, who was a public officer at the time of the subject tenders, include barring him from holding any procurement portfolio in public sector.
The judge's gavel saw it at the two accused persons who have been ordered to return the over 25.3 million shillings with interest awarded at commercial rates from the date the suit was filed.
Refund to the Kenya government the entire sum of Kenya shillings 25,334,525.50 that the county government of Trans Nzoia paid on those contracts.
One accused died and the suit against him was terminated. The decision was delivered in the absence of the two living accused persons, the former county official and the contractor.
Next time, EACC, if there's a public servant who decides to ignore court proceedings, bring him here, apply for warrant of arrest, will apply that is arrested. At least we hear from him. Yes, these are not personal funds.
The case was filed by EACC and had sought to recover over 25.3 million shillings, allegedly paid fraudulently for the two projects in Trans Nzoia County, with the judge stating that no good can come from an illegality and that the contracts were illegal as the tenders themselves. The accused persons will have to dig deeper into their pockets and pay the 25.5 million shillings awarded to them, plus commercial fines. Ruth Wamboi reporting from Milimani, Lokot.
Now, the Chinese ambassador to Kenya, Guo Haiyan, has hailed President William Ruto's recent state visit to Beijing as a major success.
The envoy has further revealed that China and Kenya signed several cooperation agreements, laying a solid foundation for future bilateral relations.
The ambassador maintains that the strategic mutual trust between the two nations has reached new heights, with a commitment to further expand the scope and depth of the cooperation.
Last week, President William Ruto arrived in China for a state visit at the invitation of President Xi Jinping, where the two leaders struck various deals as a crucial step towards bolstering the two nations' partnership. At a press conference in Nairobi, the Chinese ambassador to Kenya, Guo Haiyan, revealed that these agreements aim to strengthen practical cooperation in infrastructure, trade and investment, the digital economy, finance, education and talent development, among other areas, ensuring prosperity for both nations.
In the field of investment, China encourages more leading Chinese enterprises to invest and set up business in Kenya to facilitate Kenya's endeavor to expand its competitive production capacity. In the field of trade, China is willing to import more fine Kenyan products such as avocados and anchovies and promote the balanced and sustainable development of bilateral trade.
She reiterated China's readiness to enhancing regular policy communication with Kenya, advance high levels of connectivity, facilitate sustainable and smooth trade, explore diversification of finance, and foster the friendship between the two sides for generations to come.
China is a country that delivers on its promises. China is ready to work with African countries, including Kenya, to achieve more early harvests of the outcomes of the Beijing FOCAC Summit. For greater benefit of African people, continue to send a powerful message of China-Africa strengths through unity as well as solidarity and cooperation, and spearhead of Global South cooperation through the high-quality China-Africa cooperation.
At the same time, the envoy reiterated Beijing's condemnation of what it describes as blackmail by the United States amid the ongoing trade war between the two nations.
The tariff war was launched by the United States. China's position is consistent and clear. We will fight if fight we must. Our doors are open. If a negotiated solution is truly what the U.S. wants, then it should stop exerting extreme pressure and stop threatening and blackmailing China and seek dialogue based on equality, respect, and mutual benefit.
John Kahiro for Prime Edition.
A very good evening to you. Thank you for keeping it Prime Edition time for the business news. My name is Betty Kiptum. Oil marketing companies causing delays in truck clearance will face penalties for overnight stays as the government tightens regulations on fuel supply logistics. The Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary, Opiyo Wandayi, says plans are underway to reduce fuel costs in the country by increasing efficiency in the supply chain.
Petroleum products in Kenya have been costly due to demurrage charges and bottlenecks in the supply chain. To increase efficiency in the supply chain, the Kenya Pipeline Company and the Kenya Revenue Authority have integrated their systems intending to hasten fuel supply logistics and supply chain operations. Synchronization of the customs process is anticipated to reduce truck turnaround times at the KBC depots by half.
Above all is the matter of the integration of the regional economy. And here, Kenya Pipeline plays a very key role because, as you know, Kenya Pipeline Company infrastructure is something that not only serves Kenya, but the entire region.
Easing the payment of taxes, the clearance process, and in turn, ensuring that the turnaround time is reduced, and in effect, the cost of doing business and cost of paying taxes then, becomes more optimal.
KRA has operationalized smart gates that will improve KPC's depots output.
In the coming years, we are seeing more and more of that infrastructure being utilized by more and more people and actors in the region.
KPC has rehabilitated KPRL storage facilities for the storage of crude oil to be used for storage of automotive gas oil.
Been able to bring on board 100 million liters worth of storage tanks into our system, as well as the connectivity. We've been able to connect from the ship into the KBC oil storage facility. And the benefits to the industry is, number one, we'll be able to see reduction in demurrage.
The rehabilitation project also includes construction of a dump tank, a substation, and control room, as well as integration of KPRL port-raised tank farm and KPEVO oil storage facility into system application product and other ICT systems. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
And 4 more commodities will be added to the warehouse receipt system as the government moves to make the service widely accessible to more farmers. Warehousing Receipt Council Chairperson Felicity Biriri is further urging lending institutions to advance credit to players planning to set up agriculture warehouses in the country to ease credit access to small-scale farmers.
Private warehouses are being encouraged to consider seeking licenses from the Warehousing Receipt System Council to act as depositors for small-scale farmers. The Warehousing Council says it's planning to onboard coffee, milk, tea and potato into their inventory, and there's need to contract more warehousing facilities.
If you have a warehouse, turn commercial, go commercial. Even if you have your own warehouse where you're storing for your own farm, come to the Warehouse Receipt System Council, let us certify your warehouse.
Under the warehousing system, farmers can access credit from lenders using their stored produce as collateral.
This is one way also for youth and women. If you even lease a farm and you plant crops and you harvest, take it to the warehouse, you're able to have collateral.
Farmers can get collateral, and then using Apollo, we can be able to finance against that collateral. That will be able to ensure the farmer can wait until when the maize have good prices and enabling them to be able to make better margin.
Warehousing Receipts Council Chairperson Felicity Biriri says the system will expand lenders' agriculture loan books by eliminating land as collateral for loans.
You don't need the traditional land title to be able to get a loan.
The central bank has been encouraged to consider clearing warehousing receipt system banks' products on time to sustain the system.
Financial institutions are at different stages in engaging our regulator to get approvals for those products to finance the farmers.
Looking at how warehouse receipt financing can be approved by the Central Bank of Kenya to ensure that these finances can already be deployed to smallholder farmers.
Already, 8 warehouses have been cleared to act as depositors for farmers in 12 counties in a pilot scheme. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
The government and 2 giant sugar unions have struck a deal that will allow private investors to run and manage 4 state-owned sugar factories. Kenya National Federation of Sugar Farmers, the Kenya Union of Sugar Plantation and Allied Workers, and the Ministry of Agriculture have agreed to iron out all pending issues to fast-track the lease agreement, which has been pending for 2 years now. The government is in the process of leasing out the 4 loss-making sugar factories, namely Nzoia, Chemelil, Muhoroni and Soni, to private players. In a meeting between the overseeing committee led by Kenya Sugar Board Chief Executive Officer Jude Chesire and the 2 unions, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe reassured that the leasing will not be done without the input of farmers and workers, adding that any issues will be resolved before the leasing process is finalized.
As farmers' voice, the issue of leasing, we want it as soon as possible. If you can tell us today that so and so has taken which factory, but we don't want to rely on rumors. Because when we go back to the field, we are just getting rumors which we cannot classify.
Nobody has taken over. And I'll tell you why nobody has taken over. We have not concluded the negotiations. And what is currently happening is negotiation. 1. 2, the reason why you are here and the reason why I cannot announce anybody who has taken over is because what you are telling us here informs part of the negotiation. Negotiations cannot be concluded until we hear you. How can we go and conclude negotiations when we don't know what your problems are?
Creatives have been urged to adopt emerging technologies, particularly artificial intelligence, to unlock new income streams, enhance productivity, and expand their reach in global markets. Head of Public Affairs at the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi, Drew Giblin, says creatives can use AI to streamline content creation, analyze audience preferences, and access platforms previously out of reach. Speaking during the celebrations to mark 60 years of partnership between Kenya and the United States, Giblin says the government should address concerns over intellectual property and the ethics of AI in art.
Is the power of the Kenyan marketplace, the creative talent here, the contribution to GDP that comes from film, music, sports, and other areas. It is huge, it is valuable, and it's globally marketable, which leads to the second thing we talked about, which is the power of American creative companies, brands, networks, for Kenya and for us.
It is in the interest of each of the players in this partnership to structure and organize before coming to the table. It is not the interest of the American government to come and organize artists in Kenya. It is not their interest to come and organize the players in the culture space.
The areas that actually is there in the creative economy is collaborations. Being able to collaborate with both private and government, and also people to people.
So we'll take that. We want to keep convening.
Moving on, coffee farmers in Embu County are being encouraged to adopt organic farming methods to ensure the production of high-quality coffee suitable for competitive international markets. According to Ju Young Baek, that is the Deputy Country Director of the Korea International Cooperation Agency, this initiative aims to assist Kenyan coffee in meeting international quality standards, thereby securing access to premium global markets.
Coffee farmers in Embu County anticipate a doubling of their coffee production within the next year. This projection follows training provided by the Korea International Cooperation Agency, which equipped them with the knowledge to produce their own natural fertilizers and pest control solutions using locally sourced materials.
Kulima wale wamefunzwa ni more than 2,545
na leo sasa kuko na 6,050 those who are going to graduate, na hao sasa wakienda kule kwenye masamba watasaidia wale wakulima wadogo kuwafunza juu ya coffee husbandry, that means coffee nutritions, mambo ya kuapply fertilizer, mambo ya kuspray chemicals, mambo ya kuweka mbolea ya kienyeji. Tufundishwa mara mingi sana, na kwa hivyo sasa vile itafanya hiyo masomo yote tutasaidika, sababu tutaongeza kilimo. Kama sasa tunahitaji every year tuwe with a minimum of not less than 2 million kilos. That is our target.
Joy Young emphasized that the program is designed to cultivate opportunities for the diversification of coffee sales channels to access global markets.
OICA has been able to train, upgrade facilities, and develop opportunities to diversify sales channels so that Envo's coffee can reach global markets. Our TOT, we raised over 100 skilled trainers who I believe have continued to disseminate this knowledge into their communities.
Trained farmers have expressed optimism about completely eliminating synthetic agricultural inputs in the future.
Tangu nianze kulima na eco-friendly juu nimeweza kusevu pesa. Ile njia tunayotumia kwa eco-friendly ni vitu locally. Tunatafuta unga yenye unatupa ukishipa, ingine usitupe nje. Inatengeneza hiyo dawa yenye pia ningetumia pesa kwenda kununua ikiwa ghali zaidi. Pia kemikali, situmii chemicals, natumia vitu ambayo iko na urafiki kwa mwili wangu, kwa mazingira na hata kwa watu wale wengine.
And that is the business news this evening. I leave you in the able hands of Bernard Okumu, who is on the other side, to bring you the latest in the world of sports. My name is Betty Kiptum. Have yourself a lovely night. Over to you, Okumu.
Thank you so much, Betty Kiptum, and thank you for joining us. It is time for the latest from the world of sports. And we begin with soccer, where going into the match and playing as a team will be key for Rising Stars in their opening Africa Cup of Nations Under-20 game against Morocco tomorrow night at the 30th June Stadium in Cairo, Egypt. According to Captain Amos Wanjala, the Kenyan juniors are pooled in Group B of the Continental Showpiece alongside Tunisia and Nigeria.
Kenya's Rising Stars, the under-20 national team, will kick off their Africa Cup of Nations title hunt against Morocco tomorrow night at the 30th June Stadium, not only looking for a win but also avoiding to concede. The pre-tournament friendly game against Ghana, which ended in a 2-2 draw, exposed the weak areas in the squad that the team has worked on going into their opening game against Morocco, according to Captain Amos Wanjala.
For here, I think we just work as a team, and we don't bring the involvement of, oh, this is playing in there. So I think right now the focus is on the team and the championship. So we have a good gel, and we are ready for the championship.
The team will be going into the game short of 3 key players, and despite respecting the caliber of their opponents, they are ready to test their replacements, hoping to gauge the squad's ability with their opening game.
Tuko na mbinu zetu kama makocha, tutaziongelea sana. Tujaribu tupate ushindi kwa mechi ya kwanza yenye itatupea motisha ya kuenda kwa mechi ya pili.
Despite Kenya not being the strongest side in Group B, Morocco head coach Mohamed Ouhabi says his side will not underestimate their quality on the pitch.
Kenya is not the best team in the group, but we prepare the game like the final for tomorrow. You can ask and my captain about Kenya, he will say you the same. We respect a lot of Kenya because they play very well.
What I know about Kenya, I know it is a very good team. We saw a lot of video of them, a lot of games of them. It's a strong team, defense or midfielder or attacker. This is it will be a good game tomorrow. It's gonna be a difficult game for us. We know that, but we are confident, and I hope we're gonna win this game, inshallah.
After Morocco, Kenya will play Tunisia on Sunday 4th May and wrap up their pool matches against favourites Nigeria on Wednesday 7th May.
And we wish the rising stars all the best as they begin the hunt for the continental glory tomorrow. Also, after intense battle in the FKF Premier League that has seen them sit third on the table behind Kenya Police and Tusk FC, Gor Mahia have shifted the focus to the FKF Cup ahead of their quarter-final game against Kariobangi Sharks tomorrow at the Dandora Stadium. Kogalo are hunting a double this season.
FKF Premier League champions Gor Mahia will take a break from the Premier League that has seen them embroiled in a thrilling three-way battle for the title with Kenya Police and Tusk FC as they focus now on the immediate task, an FKF Cup quarter-final against Kariobangi Sharks at Dandora Stadium tomorrow.
Kariobangi Sharks is equally a good team. They are a strong opponent. And sometimes it's good playing a stronger opponent because they can get the best out of you. So I think it will be a good match.
Kogalo have come a long way in their FKF campaign, having kicked off with a 3-0 win against National Division 2 side KSG Ogopa before strolling to a commanding 5-0 victory over Githurai All-Stars.
Once I was a Shark, but now I'm at Gor Mahia. It's always not an easy match playing against Sharks in the cup matches. That's what I can say. So we expect a tough match tomorrow. Being that we faced them recently in a league match, definitely it's going to be a different approach in this match because it's a knockout stage.
That commanding victory set up their round of 16 clash against Bandari FC, which they won 2-0 at the Mbaraki Sports Club to book a place against Kariobangi Sharks at Dandora.
I don't know who make this fixture. I would like to meet this person who make decision why we should play tomorrow and Sunday. Yes? So immediately you give the advantage to another team, right? Immediately. How is possible? Tell me. We should travel there half day more than also almost all day. Yeah, we not have time for training now. What will train? For what? To be injury. We travel, we will be tired. Saturday easy something and that's it. We play Sunday, right?
Sharks are 12th in the Premier League, 9 places behind Gor, and their only hope of a title lies in the FKF Cup, which they must overcome Kogalo first to move within 2 matches of the title. The Gor versus Sharks game will be played after the game between Homeboys and Nairobi United at the Dandora Stadium, with the other game tomorrow being played at the SportPesa Arena between Murang'a Seal and Ulinzi Stars.
And national government will revive stalled stadiums that were initiated by the national and county governments in their quest to boost sports talents in different regions across the country. Speaking during the launch of the Mogotio Sports Academy in Mogotio, Baringo County, Cabinet Secretary for Sport Salim Vuria noted that tenders have already been advertised and construction works are set to begin. The CS also added that the government will revamp and address challenges to construct stadiums which are already stalled, including Kamarin, Kipchoge Keino, Kapsabet and Bukungu. As of now, the ministry has launched 5 sports academies out of the 37 across the country, which will cost 1.7 billion shillings. Vuria also asked the athletes to run clean, warning against doping, adding that the government, through Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, will be keen to end cases of doping amongst the athletes.
Tunapata goalkeeper mzuri ako huko Chomiek. Tunapata defender mzuri ako Sirwa. Tunapata midfielder mzuri ako kule chini naitwa Radat. So hii wachezaji hata ukiwa na goalkeeper mzuri na ile players 10 wajui mpira utafungwa bao 10. So sports academy itatusaidia kuleta hiyo talent yote wakuja wasome wakicheza hapa so that we form a formidable team yenye inaonekana mpaka nchi za kimataifa.
To be able to harness grassroots talent development, and therefore within this program, we are also working very closely with the Ministry of Education to ensure that we bring on board school children in this particular opportunity.
And to golf now, where an impressive field of over 200 golfers are set to descend on Thika Sports Club this weekend for the 8th leg of the 2025 NCBA Golf Series. The golfers will take on the club's challenging Par 72 course, all competing for top honors and that coveted qualifying slots to the NCBA Golf Series Grand Finale later this year. Among the players to watch will be Isaac Charagu and Betty Nderu, familiar names to the club and to the series. Now, both golfers emerged as Division 1 winners in the men's and ladies categories, respectively, during last year's edition, and will be looking to build on their past successes as they compete on their home course. This weekend's event follows the golf park leg held last weekend, where Martin Morito and William Aluko stole the show. And of course, a lot happened last night. Arsenal losing by a goal to nil to PSG in their opening round, the first leg of the semi-final tie, the Champions League. Tonight, it will be the turn for Barcelona to face Inter Milan in the second match of the semi-finals. Of course, the second legs of the matches will be played next week. That's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernardo Kumu. Have a blessed evening.
And indeed, it appears like Inter has already scored an early one against Barcelona. But the Arsenal game was really tantalizing. Did you watch it, by the way?
I just heard about it.
Time for us. Let's just go.
No, and you need to be here tomorrow.
Yeah,
Labor Day, yes?
I will.
But no labor for you.
No, I will labor, but there's no day for me.
No labor. All right, we go home.
Lucy Waura is our sign language interpreter. My name is John Jacob Kioria.
Say the art without art would just be, get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you arts and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Differently. We do not have a special society, so